Guy were new friends, my buddy Dave Johnson. And
Dave Johnson.
Dave Johnson.
This has got so many shout outs.
So this is that's what we'll call this one. Shout outs.
Yeah, shout outs.
That has to be shout outs. But anyway, black to the white, the red and the brown, the purple and yellow. But first I gotta bang bang. Boogie to the boogie, sit up, jump the boogie to the bang bang boogie. Let's rock. You don't stop. Got a rhythm that'll make your body rock. Well, so far you've heard my voice, but I brought my friend along. And next on the mic is my man Disco. Come on, Disco, sing that song.
I'm the DIS. Now get ready to see why it's ending and I know. From a city that rips the mic into ducking grips. Cable access show. See if you're digging the vibe. Like and subscribe. Support your backstage team. To get down with the pros working in the shadows. It's Disco and the scene. Yeah. Sean Finnegan, that is.
Rapper's Delight.
Rapper's Delight,
First popular rap song in
Sean Finnegan.
Come on, Disco, sing that song.
2 stagehands and a microphone.
2 stagehands and a microphone.
And welcome to 2 stagehands and a microphone.
2 stagehands and a microphone.
I am Disco Brillig, and this is
Sean Finnegan talking to you from Portland, Oregon.
Kind of. The outskirts of Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. It's a funky place. It's a weird place, you might even say.
You might take me to Funky Town, but we are in Portland, Oregon.
Why don't it take me to Funky
It's been
Town?
like a month and a half since
This is our
we've
longest
done
break. It's our longest break.
You know, I think we had one like over the winter or something like that.
Yeah, I think
like
you're
a
right.
winter break,
Over
like
the
that
holidays.
whole holiday thing. But that was fun.
Give me a tea toast. What's the
Tito's! Woohoo!
What's the tea we're drinking here you brought?
This is the Murchies number 10 blend, all the way from Victoria, British Columbia.
You know what? I hated the number 9. I love the number 10.
The number 22 isn't bad, though. I have to say the number
Okay.
22. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a mix of 6 different black and green teas, perfectly designed for afternoon delight. So how you been?
I've been good. I worked at Nike this week.
Ooh, fun. What was that like? And for Acme, was that right?
It was for Acme.
Yeah.
It was shoveling a lot of rock. We put in 16 tons of rock into this display.
Whoa!
Yeah.
What kind? Like crushed gravel or
It was
like
like
river rock?
3/4 inch river rock, and then there was also big physical rocks.
Wow.
It
Okay.
seemed like a lot of overkill to me.
Uh-huh.
That's really cool. But oh my gosh, I mean, I haven't shoveled that much rock since my 20s.
Yeah, my dad has 10 acres, so I shovel rock every now
yeah.
and then. The ground squirrels come up, and so we
Right.
like bury the ground squirrels holes so they don't just dig them back out, kind of
Gotcha.
stuff with gravel and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I worked with great people as usual. Got to work with our buddy Spencer.
Oh yeah, Spencer!
Little shout out to Spencer.
Spencer!
Spencer!
I gotta say, Spencer is one of the best people to be on the carpentry team with ever.
Always.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hard worker. He's super smart without being like braggadocious about it. He can always figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And he's got the best part, great sense of humor.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
And
always-
there's no one I'd rather be on a 4-man deck team than with Spencer.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely. With maybe the exception of Pinky to call
Pinky, I like working with Darren a lot.
Darren's also
Darren's
great,
a
yeah.
warrior. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Darren.
Darren, yeah, absolutely.
I like working with Tiffany.
Tiffany.
You know Tiffany, she's a warrior.
I've worked with her once or twice, but not very often. Honestly.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. So yeah, it was a good week out there. I mean, I wish we'd work more days, but it was a nice thing because we're working during the day, and I love the parking. So yeah, my nieces got me these Oregon Ducks PJs, and so kind of with your inspiration of your wardrobe choices,
Ah, yes,
I'm
absolutely.
going with the old plaid Oregon Ducks.
It is a standard. My both father and sister graduated from University of Oregon.
Wow, yeah,
So,
my niece Lucy is at Oregon right now. Shout out to Lucy.
Lucy.
So what are you working this week?
The only show I have scheduled, which I'm excited about, on Tuesday is Book of Mormon at the Keller, doing the musical.
Oh, on
play.
Tuesday you're doing that.
Tuesday, yeah, that's going to be pretty exciting for me. But
Wow.
yeah, I've had.
Is that a one-day or multi-day load-in?
I know at least the one, but I think it might be two.
I hope
but
I get
don't
offered
know.
some at the Keller again. I
Yeah.
miss working at the Keller.
Keller's fun. I've actually done quite a few shows at the Keller recently because I got.
Yeah, you have.
I think it has to do with getting a flagger certification because I've been a
Oh, right.
flagger more often than not when I'm working at the Keller. So I
Right.
think having that additional skill set on my resume has really
right.
helped because I think I've rigged like 6 or 7 times for.
How do you get that? Do you request to take a class?
So the union will put out emails that say, "Hey, we have this training available at such or such a time. Just respond if you." Yeah, if you just respond to the email, and
imagine that.
And it's kind of a first come first serve thing, right? And so, and they probably do it by list or whatnot. But I said, that time works for me, and I just showed up and then got a Flagger cert, and then now I'm getting Flagger trips.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really
that's
helped.
right. We talked about that on another podcast. I remember that. I'm really trying to speak into the microphone on this podcast.
Oh yeah, noticing that.
My other podcast was all like over here, so I'm trying to rap into
that. Yeah. I'll try to help.
Here's kind of a weird thing, a non sequitur. I kind of saw you responding when we were setting up here. Did you like was that the first time you ever heard the Eagles of death metal?
No, I think I've heard them before, but it has been probably 10 years.
Yeah. There's a lot of up-tempo songs that, even though they're a rock and roll band, I always kind of compare them at times to like Earth, Wind, and Fire with their energy. Yeah. Interesting thing about the band, they're from the Joshua Tree area, right? I told you they're connected to another band, Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh yeah, I've seen them open for somebody.
Oh, I love Queens of the Stones. Josh Homme, that singer, he plays drums on Eagles of Death Metal's recordings.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sometimes tours with them, doesn't. I saw the Eagles of Death Metal at your favorite place, the Crystal Ballroom, in 2006. And to this day, it's one of the best concerts I've ever seen. They're just some bands
Not heard, but seen.
No, heard. I was up close.
Oh, okay.
So they sounded great.
So you were listening to their monitors,
yes,
I take it, rather
fantastic.
than yeah, okay.
But here's the thing about them is they're so up-tempo, a lot of their songs, even though they're like a very simple 3-chord rock and roll 50s sound with a punk sound in there.
Which 3 chords, though? Is it like G?
I'm not a musician. Don't ask me.
All right.
But here's the great thing about them. So they played for like their first year out in the desert area of Joshua Tree, right? Yeah. And they kept, just for their own entertainment, they played under a different name every week because they couldn't come up with a name for a band.
I mean, who doesn't do that occasionally?
Right, I think a lot of bands did that, right? And a lot of bands go through iterations of different names, right?
A shout out to Efficient German Sex, by the way.
Wow, that's a great name.
Right,
There's a lot of... Someday we could just go down the... Oh, no, we should do someday. Play the game.
Oh, yeah!
Dumb name, cool name.
Dumb name, cool name.
We'll explain that in a second. Hold on, let me just finish Eagles Death. We'll get to that.
Absolutely.
This is what I love, though. They're playing every week at these different bars around the Joshua Tree area for a laugh for themselves. They're going under different names, and finally, this one bar owner says, "Enough, guys. I love your music, but we need a name so we can have this people know who's playing. So come up with a name." They're huddling around. They're trying to come up with a name, and there's this one drunk guy, just hammered old guy who came to all their shows. He was just drunk out there dancing on the floor. And that he overheard them trying to come up with a name at the bar. And he walks up to him and says, "Listen, if you guys were in the category of death metal, you'd be the Eagles."
That's beautiful.
So they're the Eagles of death metal. It just always cracks me up.
That would be interesting. Would you change the lyrics? Like, would it still be the Hotel California, or would it be a different location with the Eagles of death metal? Like, what would that do?
They should cover that song.
Yeah.
They should do a little more up-tempo version of it. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
And so now...
Or, make it a real, advertisement as opposed to, this morose, sanitarium thing.
Totally.
So, make it a, "Welcome to the Hotel California."
Right. Marriott presents.
Yeah, exactly. Now, yeah, exactly.
So I want to say it was 2 years ago was the first time. Shout out to my buddy Jesse Sternberg, who's cutting a video for my book right now.
Jesse!
But we used to backpack a lot, and we used to mountain bike a lot, and we were the ones who were on the trail backpacking to pass the time. Sometimes we were in some really arduous hikes with 70 pounds on your back.
Yeah.
On a June day when it's 94 degrees and you're dripping sweat. So we came up with this game called Cool Name, Dumb Name.
Cool name, dumb name.
Cool name, dumb name. You got to bring graphics in for that, right?
Okay, yeah. Okay,
gotcha. Just say it like that again. Say it.
Cool name, dumb name.
There you go. So you're going to have to work on those
exactly.
graphics.
Yeah, I can do
and
some
the whole point of the game was you must divorce yourself from your feelings about the band as a musical entity that you might love or you might hate.
This sounds like a Yoda command.
Totally.
Divorce yourself from feelings.
Right. Right. And what you have to do is make an argument to your peers as though you're a lawyer in court. Is their name cool or is it dumb?
Eagles of heavy metal.
Eagles of death metal.
Death metal, sorry.
Eagles of heavy metal would be dumb.
Yeah.
But Eagles of death metal is rad, I think. Especially with that backstory.
Yeah.
And sometimes the backstory influences your opinion on dumb name or cool name.
Wouldn't that be an emotional context, though?
It is. It's very hard to divorce the emotions in this game,
but
my
that's
friend.
more of the narrative, right? Like, you
Right.
can't really divorce yourself from the narrative.
It's almost like a
story.
sidebar argument that you'd
Yeah.
have to make as an attorney. Sir, may I have the floor? There's
Yeah.
a backstory to this name.
Yeah, exactly. I
So,
would like
like,
to cross-examine.
So, like, I'm a big fan of the band Metallica, but I've always felt their name's a little bit dumb.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a little bit. Like, it's got metal in the name. It's like, oh, are you so metal that you got metal in your name?
It's kind of, it's almost begging the metal apocalypse.
But you could also make a case where it's a made-up word. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a bastardization of metallurgy,
For sure,
though,
for
right?
sure.
Like, Metallica is kind of
Well,
like...
so give me an example. Give me an example of one that you would call a cool name.
I would say Iron Maiden.
I agree.
100%.
I don't even think that's...
It is
You can argue that
It's
one.
a mythical torture implement that was actually
Right.
not used.
Oh,
As
what do you mean
iron-
it wasn't used? I always heard it was used, remember?
No, it's more of like...
Oh, it's a myth. It's an urban myth?
It's more of a thing that was, more flash than substance.
Don't you remember in Bill and Ted's
I
Excellent Adventure?
love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Send them to the Iron Maiden.
Excellent.
And the
Execute
Iron
them.
Maiden.
Bogus. Yes, exactly.
Here's another great from a metal band. A lot of times metal bands have cool names. A lot of times they're dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought a great name was Black Sabbath.
I do too. Yeah,
You know?
I want to say Ozzy nailed that. That was amazing.
Yeah,
man.
that actually was the bassist Geezer Butler who came up with the name. It was a movie by...
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was a movie starring Boris Karloff. Mm-hmm. And in the height of the hippie movement, he said, "Look, man, even with all these hippie names out there, they were originally called Earth. They were called Earth.
Oh, okay.
But then as they started playing around England, there was another band with the name Earth.
Wind and Fire.
Oh,
They had two more elements. Of course, they were a better band, right? Yeah. Exactly.
No, there was another band called Earth, so they had to come up with a name, and they said to themselves, "Hey, even though there's this peace, love is the trend right now in hippie culture, look how many people line up for horror movies like Rosemary's Baby."
Oh yeah.
And they looked at it and said, "Well, what's that movie?" They said, "It's a movie called Black Sabbath." And Geezer Butler said,
absolutely.
"That's our name."
Duran Duran is the evil villain in Barbarella.
See, the backstory helps me with that because I always thought it was a dumb name.
No, it's Duran is the evil guy in Barbarella.
Never
with
knew where
Jane
that came
Fonda.
from.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still am going to say it's a dumb name.
It is still a dumb name. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think the Beatles is a dumb name. Did you write Beatles, B-E-A-T, like beat of a drum? Dumb, dude.
it's less of a beat, more of a like wow sitar kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not great.
I think part of that has to do with timing, though, right? Like it might have been great in the '60s, right?
Yeah,
And,
I just-
arguably it was.
I thought it was a better name for a VW.
It was, yeah, absolutely. No, I'm going to say the Beetle is a much better VW name than it is a band
Yeah,
name.
so you can go on and on with this, but what's great is how many times since I brought this up to groups of people, I will literally start it during a break, and then when we're on the floor, people will pass me and go, Echo and the Bunnymen.
I think it's great. I love it because of
I
the
think
non sequiturness.
That's where it works. That's where it works. It's so random.
I want to say it's also hearkening back to when I think Bunny, I think of like Harvey, the invisible giant rabbit.
Right.
And so, or I'm rabbit hunting, or all of these like rabbit as
very,
called.
very quiet.
Yeah, there's an Elmer Fudd kind of built into that echo, and these bunny men who are just like echoes of echoes.
Sure.
Just like
Sure.
thoughts.
It's a fun game to play because people have the fun of it comes from people can't separate from the fact that they love the Beatles and they love Metallica and they're like, what do you mean it's a dumb name? Well, just think about it. It's a little bit dumb. Whereas like another great metal band name I always thought was Slayer.
Slayer is great because it's like a title.
It's
Right,
you can hear like a machete sword.
But I
coming.
also hear 70s and 80s barbarian films.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like I see
Right, there's a
wizards
Conan the
in my
Barbarian
mind. Conan the
outfit.
Barbarian, Conan the
Right,
Destroyer, right?
right.
I really see, Arnold Schwarzenegger swinging a sword at something,
Sure.
right, with Slayer, right? Like,
Sure.
or Doomstalker, or, some of this cartoon
Here's a
art.
band I really love that I always thought had a dumb name. Alice in Chains. It's like, did you chain up, Alice, because you're metal? I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
I just never thought Alice in Chains was a great name. I just
I
still don't.
agree.
It's easy to remember, but it just is dumb. But from the grunge thing, here's a great name, Soundgarden.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool name.
What about porno for pyros?
Dumb.
Yeah.
That's dumb. Jane's Addiction, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Power Man 5000.
Oh my God, get off the planet with that name.
Yeah? You don't think that that's good?
No, I think it's horrible.
See, to me, it's kind of like retro sci-fi in a way.
See, this is what's great about the game.
Yeah.
You have a valid feeling. Like, you could even coerce me to change my opinion. That's what I love about the game.
And yeah, I think that's being open to being, coerced is another thing, right?
We're going to call Milton Bradley, and we're going to get our own dumb name, cool name game.
Oh, yes. Stay tuned for the board game. Of
Copyright.
Cool name. Yeah, exactly. 2 stagehands and a dumb name.
So I had this cool thing happen today I told
What's
you about
that?
earlier.
Uh-huh.
I finished my second book. I did. That means, not just the first draft. I finished
Wow.
the
Congrats,
rewrite.
man. That's an
Thanks,
accomplishment.
buddy.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
buddy. I still have a ways
And I
to
understand
go.
this one's nonfiction?
Yeah, this one's a memoir about my ticket stub collection and all the concerts I went to. I spent a number of years getting hold of the people I went to the concerts with, kind of mining their memories, juxtaposed with my memories and seeing where they crossed over. And then a lot of research on the tour and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's 50 entries, and it took me so long because I never realized I started the book at a suggestion of my best friend's daughter, Taylor Brunson. Taylor Brunson's
Taylor!
Taylor, it's your birthday tomorrow, May 26th.
Woohoo!
My sister's
Happy birthday! Yeah.
to Taylor. It's also my sister's birthday. They share the same birthday.
Oh, your sister's
Yep.
birthday. What's her name?
Colleen Amanda.
Colleen Amanda!
Yes.
Shout out!
Yeah. So Taylor suggested I write this because I put on I had my ticket stubs since 1983, and I just kept them in a piece of parchment paper.
Yeah.
And then at one point I saw this in a bar, in a jazz bar down by Belmont in Portland, the Blue Monk. It was really cool. They had everyone bring all their customers that I brought one into brought in paintings or pictures of Thelonious Monk. That's who they called the Blue Monk.
Yeah,
so I was able to contribute one. But one time I was in line for the bathroom, and I just noticed this guy had all his ticket stubs, and they weren't necessarily all jazz shows.
Yeah.
In chronological order. And while you're waiting for the bathroom was the coolest thing to look at. And I was like, I should frame mine.
Yeah.
So I framed them, put a picture up on Facebook, and Taylor just wrote, "Hey, Sean, why don't you write your next book about these stubs?" People have given me suggestions of what to write about since I became a writer.
Yeah.
And I never take them, not because I'm rude or don't like them. It's like, when someone's that passionate about something so specific, I always hand them a pen and go, you know what? You're the person to write this.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's hard to do that about your own experiences, though.
Right. But what was strange and I didn't see coming with this project was, and the reason I took long breaks, like multi-year breaks on this project. I didn't really intend them to be that long, but I did because not so much writer's block, but I didn't realize I was getting myself into a Groundhog's Day project. You know how hard it is to write about another concert and make it differentiate from the concert before? I mean, I'm not going to describe all the pyrotechnics and stuff that much because, quite frankly, go on YouTube and see the tour. You'll get much more out of looking at the pyrotechnics than me describing them. So I had to really make the book more about the people and our experience at the show than the show. And of course I incorporate background on the bands here and there, especially if they're a little more obscure and interesting details like that.
Honestly, I'm just kind of amazed at your encyclopedic detail about who was in what band at what time, and it's just impressive. I mean,
you always say that, and it's like, I have no idea how people have said this to me a lot recently, and I don't even know if I'm doing it. You know, there's a million things I don't know anything about, but I think when any experience puts an emotional impression on me, it just locks into this photographic memory thing.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm not into something, believe me, I don't remember anything about it.
Oh yeah, it's just you have this very specific, with the bands and music and who played what and what time periods.
Yeah,
that is not something I have in my instant recall databases, despite of, I could recall lyrics of, whatever cartoon from 1982, right? But
or anime.
Yeah, exactly.
You can. That's because that puts that impression on you.
Right. You have this.
And we're all like this.
Yeah.
I got friends. I've always grown up with lots of friends who are auto mechanics. Shout out to Moto Zach.
Moto Zach.
And I don't give a shit about cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a nice car. I like it. It's clean.
I like that they go vroom vroom.
Me too. I like that they get me here to there. I like trucks better because I have more. I can fish more places.
I like vans better because I can fit beer gear inside them and take
right,
it to venues.
sure.
Right? Like,
and know what I really like is kind of hybrid of like you're saying the van. I like a truck with a shell, so I can sleep in the back of them.
Mm-hmm,
That's something super fun to go sleep by a river, camp. Bust out your tailgate, make your food at night, and then put everything away. Jump in your truck bed, sleep like a baby, and just wake up and grab your rod, and you're right there at the river. That is super fun.
Yeah, I used to have a truck, like a what was it? S10 or
Chevy S10.
Yeah, Chevy S10, right? And it was just like this beater truck. The clutch sucked, like it barely worked.
Oh man!
But it was so useful. I remember going out and
really are useful.
Yeah, I worked a didgeridoo show, right? And so like I'm taking my own lights out, and so I've got my own LEDs and my park hands, and I've got two things. But I was talking to this person, and they were talking about it, and I'm thinking it's like an hour. It's like a 3-hour drive from Portland, right? Wow. And so I wind up sleeping at the didgeridoo show in the back of my truck.
Wow.
And like,
there's a lot of people do that in the parking lot at the Moda Center.
Yeah.
If they're doing back-to-backs, they just sleep in their vehicles.
I'm not thinking that's a bad idea. If you have like a motorhome, it seems like
or a
really
van
nice
or something.
Experience.
Right?
Oh yeah. You could get that set up to like.
The only thing you don't get is a shower. I
guess
guess you could shower at them. You could shower in the showers at the Moda Center.
The Moda Center has showers. Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's people who do that. I forgot.
You know what I just put in my backpack though?
What?
A hammock.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like,
yeah.
How the Moda Center bleachers have all that steel structure?
Yeah,
you just leave those on either two. So if you're there for 18 hours a day and you don't want to sit down in this damn chair,
no doubt,
whatnot, you could just like.
God, I haven't done an 18-hour day in a long time.
It's been a while for me too. Like,
but those are nice checks. But man, you're wiped out.
Oh yeah, or even those like overnight ones where you're like loading out a musical.
Oh, that was my first job for the Stagehands Union. Was loading out Hamilton.
Yeah.
10 to 10.
That was a nuts thing. Mine was
I spoke about that too. Really trying not to repeat stories here, folks. Disco's much better about that than me. I tend to go into repeat mode at times.
To be fair, with editing, I've seen every one of our shows like 200 times. So, it's a little bit more.
Chalk me out, brother.
Exactly, yeah.
Fine with me, man. So, by the way, I did want to also say kind of on that subject of finishing the Stubbs book is thank you for finishing NorCal.
Oh, yeah, that was phenomenal.
That was really cool,
really touching towards the end.
Yeah, cool.
It had a lot of really kind of figuring itself out and boundaries and a lot of very interesting family dynamics and just like relationships.
Yes.
And like I said, that 1984-85 setting was really the
And I think people are just starting to kind of discover the 80s as a unique thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When I was growing up, the 80s now are almost like the 50s were to me as far as a totally different, almost disjointed reality from where we were at in the 80s and 90s. Like, well, the 50s were weird. And now when I talk to people or even younger people ask me, it's like, the 80s were really weird, huh? And I'm like, they really kind of were because, the 70s still had the hangover of the, the kind of hippie ideals. But a lot of the hippie ideals were just kind of squashed.
Yeah, you had that yuppieism.
It was real yuppie, me, kind of a greed. Remember?
Material Girl.
Right, Material Girl. I mean,
Madonna.
Wall Street came out with Gordon Gekko saying greed is good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Which we're seeing in our society now a lot.
I think a lot, I think Reagan set up a lot of things.
For sure.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Right, and
or Nixon before that, right?
Oh, well, Rick, the only difference with Nixon is he couldn't pull any of it off, really. He got busted, and nowadays he'd get away with all that, but then he kind of fell on his own sword out of some kind of, shogun nobility, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's something about hypocrisy that people just really disassociate with and want to get away from.
So your next upcoming show,
Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon.
Asadiga Ibawai.
Is that Mormon language?
It is in the Book of Mormon.
I'm so ignorant on religious stuff. I'd never, even
Did
though
you see Book of Mormon?
No. I heard it's great.
It's great. Phenomenal. I've
heard.
only listened to the soundtrack, but it has Josh Gad from Frozen the Snowman.
Oh, yeah, he's funny.
He's hilarious.
He's a funny guy.
But he plays like this Mormon who's in this journey of discovery. But the Mormons go to this particular duo are on missionaries and they get sent to Africa in some place or whatnot.
And that's the play?
And that is the play of them like being assigned to Africa and them dealing with Mormon Utah values in some place that is third world and is ravaged by AIDS and is really...
I didn't know it got that heavy.
Right. And so the whole Asadiga Ibawai is... Actually, it's a made-up phrase that Trey Parker and Matt Stone made up, but it supposedly
I was just going to ask, those are the guys who wrote Book of Mormon.
Yeah, in South Park, right? And so
Right.
the South Park guys wrote this.
I always wonder if someday there'll be a world without any religion.
Very John Lennon of you, right?
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, exactly.
I really wish the religion of the world was, though, some kind of eco-religion where we kind of went, hey, we're not really running tornadoes, and we're not really more powerful than earthquakes or tsunamis. Let's recognize that we're a little bit lower on the totem pole than the natural world. I always feel like indigenous people have that down solid, whereas modern humans kind of have this slight arrogance of like, no, we can control the weather. It's like, not so much.
I agree with you. I think that there is a certain humility to stewarding your environment. And
Yes.
if you need...
And a pragmatism.
Right.
Like it's your house.
Yeah,
Keep
exactly.
it clean.
Yeah, I mean, there's in no way, shape, or form, no matter what Elon Musk's vast dreams are, is Mars ever going to be comparable to Earth?
I don't want to go. I don't want to go to Mars.
It's a
no
3 year
desire.
Yeah, the oxygen.
You know where I want to go? British Columbia, so I can go catch some steelhead. I always feel like salmon and steelhead are the canary in the coal mine for human beings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you don't want to go fishing, even if you don't like to eat fish.
No, I think you're right with the plankton. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish people realize that when the fish are healthy, we're healthy.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost a narcissistic way of appreciating nature because it's our oxygen tank. And when people go, screw fish. Mm-hmm. Well, you screw fish, we're next. That's what the old elder native tribes from this area said, that as the salmon go, human beings go.
No.
And I just wish that was the value with more people, but so many people, it's just the goofiest thing in the world. Like,
yeah.
maybe we're winding down.
We could wind down this one. I know that
so.
we have we have limited film stuff. What was it? There was something.
All I can say is I think it's time to grab the whistles.
The whistles.
Oh, yes. All right. Well, shall we serenade us out? I mean, or maybe we should do like an opening fanfare and a closing.
Let's do an outro on this one, and next time we do a podcast, let's do an intro.
Okay.
Ready?
So our outro on the podcast: 2 stagehands and a microphone.
And a microphone. Thanks for listening.
Signing off. Two Stagehands and a Microphone with Sean Finnegan and Disco Brillig, with music produced by Mike Favero.